the overview of sexual violence in the LGBTQ community. As we know, in the past, rape was specifically regarding women as the victim and a man as the perpetrator. Therefore, anybody who did not fall under the category of a penal vaginal assault, then the crime was more than likely not taken as a serious assault or considered to be a rape. Being that for the LGBTQ community, specifically with that old definition of rape, if someone, a part of their community, wanted to report some kind of sexual violence that happened to them, the chance of it actually causing the person that assaulted them to be charged with a sex crime was slim. Studies have indicated that individuals in the LGBTQ are at a higher risk of sexual violence compared to heterosexual and cisgender individuals. This isn't too surprising, being that oftentimes it is most common in general for minority populations to become a lot more vulnerable to attacks. However, there were no articles or studies that explained or could figure out why specifically the LGBTQ community is at a higher risk. LGBTQ individuals experience multiple different barriers regarding reporting crimes, such as fears of secondary victimization, hostility or abuse from law enforcement, mistrust of law enforcement, and concerns of law enforcement not taking the crime seriously or failing to know anti-LGBTQ aspects of the crime. Mike, hi, I'd like to ask you some questions regarding the LGBTQ community and sexual assault. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So first I just wanted to know, were you aware that the LGBTQ community is at a higher risk of being sexually assaulted than heterosexual communities?
I would say I would think so, yeah.
Are you surprised?
I wouldn't say I was surprised about that.
Why not?
Because LGBTQ plus members are discriminated against, and usually if you're discriminated against, you have a higher chance of being assaulted.
That's fair. So what barriers would you say that they face when it comes to reporting to the police?
Probably that the police don't respect them or believe them, especially if it's same-sex assaults on each other, because I still think they're taken seriously.
Police LGBTQ cultural awareness liaison units. The most common approach for police departments to improve their effectiveness in serving the LGBT community is the establishment of liaison officers and units. Their focus is listening, adjusting, and meeting the needs of the LGBTQ community. The duties of these police liaisons are assisting, advising, and consulting with other officers on cases involving LGBTQ issues, developing and maintaining an open and trusting relationship between the community and the police department, and implementing strategies to prevent hate crimes and violent crimes within the LGBTQ community.
Will you please state your name for the camera?
Elijah Whiteside.
Okay, Elijah. I just wanted to discuss with you today police and the LGBTQ cultural awareness. So were you aware that there is somebody at your local police department that the LGBTQ community could actually go to directly for their needs?
No.
No, yeah, it's actually called the LGBTQ Liaison Unit, and it is the most common approach for police departments to improve their effectiveness in serving the LGBTQ community.
What's their main focus?
Their main focuses are listening, adjusting, and meeting the needs of the community.
Is that all they do?
No, not at all. They actually assist, advise, and consult with other officers in cases involving the LGBTQ issues. They develop and maintain an open relationship between the community and the police department, and they also implement strategies to prevent hate crimes and violent crimes within the LGBTQ community.
Wow.
The more you know.
This slide is all about the statistics of LGBTQ members. You can see these numbers are extremely high for LGBTQ members. 46% of transgender women, 59% of bisexual women, 42% of gay and lesbian women, 18% of high school members that are in the LGBTQ community have also been forced to have sex, which is very concerning. 70% of LGBTQ members have been sexually assaulted at work. That number is extremely high. And as you can see, I compared to women and men overall. So only 20% of women experience sexual violence in their lifetime, and 7% of men experience sexual violence in their lifetime. These numbers are also probably on the lower end because these are only what's been reported, and these all came from the CDC.
All right, so I'm gonna share with you a couple statistics on LGBTQ members being sexually assaulted. So 46% of transgender women experience sexual assault. Did you know that?
I did not know that. It's a lot higher than I would think.
Also, 59% of bisexual women experience sexual assault. How do you feel about that number?
That's also pretty high. It's pretty close to the first statistic, which is interesting.
18% of high school LGBTQ members have been forced to have sex. How does that make you feel?
Not good. That's terrible. It's just terrible.
And 70% of LGBTQ members have been sexually assaulted at work. So how does that make you feel?
That's more than half, which that's also pretty high.
And then also all these numbers would be the low end because these are just what's reported. So we don't really know what the real numbers are.
Really. I feel like it's important to know that people can speak up and tell others about their experience, and we need to get these statistics on the right side of things and lower them. But at the same time, I feel like it's important to let people know like what's happened to you to spread awareness.
Training for police officers for the LGBTQ community. The Metropolitan Police Department in Washington is the 6th largest local police department in the U.S. since the 2000s. The department has been offering LGBTQ training for police officers since then, has been first in the nation for their training. In 1996, police officers had a hard time accepting the LGBTQ community. Nicole Brown has been a D.C. police officer for 14 years. Through her free time, she runs a intensive course training officers about LGBTQ related crimes. Do you know what kind of training police officers get for the LGBTQ community?
Yeah, they go to seminars and get intensive course training for the LGBTQ crimes.
Some common rape myths of the LGBTQ plus community are that women don't use force. Women in same-sex relationships may use physical and sexual force to assault their partners. Some also use emotional, psychological, financial, and verbal abuse. Another myth is that a woman cannot be raped by another woman, a man can't be raped by another man, and a transgender person can't rape or be raped by a partner. Anytime a person has sex without somebody's consent, that is rape, no matter their gender. This can also include demeaning language of a person's sexuality or body. Another myth is that the abuser will always be butch, bigger, stronger, and the survivor will always be femme, smaller, and weaker. Size, weight, butch, femme, gender, or any other physical attributes are not an indicator of whether or not a person will be a survivor or an abuser. A 5'2" female can do just as much damage as a 6'5" male.
What is your opinion about rape myths in the LGBTQ community?
I see a lot of people on social media like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and people say that like females can't rape, or masculine lesbians or trans men either aren't raped or can't commit rape. And I also see a lot of on the social medias that people are spreading awareness that all different types of people can be raped and will rape. So.